Online Dispute Resolution for Online Reviews, a conversation with Cortney Ketchum of thereviewmediator.com. That is your topic for today. Welcome to the Lawyers and Mediators International Show and Podcast, where we discuss law and conflict resolution topics to educate both professionals and everyday people. Catch regular episodes on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts. Just remember, nothing in these episodes constitutes legal advice, so be sure to talk to a lawyer, as cases are fact-dependent. Hey everyone, this is Mac Peel. Welcome back to LMI Podcast, where we talk about law and conflict resolution topics to educate professionals and everyday people. Today, I have special guest Cortney Ketchum, who will be speaking to us about the reviewermediator.com, where she focuses on mediators being able to help people address the conflicts that come up from having bad reviews online. So let's get started. Cortney, how are you, Jay?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So thank you so much for coming on. And I will go
Problem.
ahead and share my screen
Yes.
and to talk about the reviewmediator.com.
Yes.
But before we get into this, pretty cool idea that I just fell in love with when I saw it, I'd like for you to tell the audience a little bit about yourself. You're a mediator, of course, like I am. But who is Cortney? And where are you based? And why did you? Well, we'll get into why you started this incredible idea. But just tell us more about yourself and who you are first.
Yeah. So, of course, my name is Cortney Ketchum. I am based in Texas, sort of the DFW area, but I'm originally from New Orleans. So I've been here about going on 20 years now. I actually started my corporate career here. I left the corporate world in 2023. I had a wide background, but they all led to some sort of customer service or customer support or development or anything like that, right? Where I led teams to support the customer support team, right? Service. In that, I dealt with a lot of feedback. Right, a lot of conflict, dispute resolution, things like that, and I excelled a lot doing that. And once I left the corporate world, I was like, well, what am I going to do? And I thought about online reviews. I had did that in the past, and I thought about, okay, well, let me branch out into reputation management. Okay. Well, as I'm diving deep into getting into the field, I realize everybody's in reputation management. Everybody has a site. Everybody has something similar. And I thought to myself, well, how do you make yourself different? So I delve a lot into the industry, the problem areas, what customers were didn't like and were worried about, what businesses were worried about, right? And the biggest thing that kept coming out when I launched this business was businesses saying to me, I have no clue how to deal with these negative reviews. They are fake, they're defaming, they're misleading, right? Some of them, and a lot of them reflect true experiences, right? And they still didn't know how to deal with them. And so I thought, well, how do I help, right? What can I do? Then I realized, since everyone is calling themselves reputation management, I don't want to call myself that. Right. I felt like the review mediator was sort of the middleman between businesses, consumers, and review platforms. Yeah. And when I thought about it that way, I started hearing more and more about the dispute resolution business. And I thought, well, we're a dispute resolution company for online reviews. And then that's what kind of led me to where we are now.
I see. Thank you for the backstory. So you're a mediator who helps businesses basically work out their differences with the public when the public might not have been happy with services. Is that in a nutshell what you do?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. And so like you said, sometimes reviews are accurate, right? They reflect the truth. However, sometimes they're also defaming you. They are there to harass you or annoy you. And everybody now, knows what reviews mean.
Absolutely.
So I on my screen, I got some other tabs, open before we dive a little deeper into some of your
Yeah.
services. Let's just talk about, I guess I'll call it the review industry. Okay,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
that's even a word. If that's even a word. And so, um, back in back in the day, I remember hearing about Amazon and
Mhm.
how Amazon.com was cracking down on sellers in the Amazon marketplace who were basically faking reviews,
Yeah.
where they were creating fake reviews for their products so that when the public would come and buy, they would see all of these, like 5-star or great,
Yeah.
excellent reviews.
Amazing reviews.
Yes, but they were all fake.
Yeah.
And so Amazon started cracking down on this because it obviously
Hmm.
gave an unfair advantage to folks who were basically just lying about their product,
Yeah.
because it didn't, you know, reflect reality. And the consumer at the end of the day is getting swindled here, because we believe in social proofing, right? That
Yep.
social proofing is where the public trust the public to
Yep.
give an accurate
Absolutely.
assessment of whatever it is that they might have experienced with a service or a good in marketing. And so, if the public believes that these are accurate reviews, the public is being lied to. So, of course, Amazon had to do this. They had to get these bad review brokers out of the
Yeah.
game. And so this, in my opinion, went to show just how important reviews are to businesses,
Oh,
that
yeah.
some of them were even willing to lie and create fake reviews.
Yep.
Okay. And so, first off, what are your thoughts about that? Do you agree with my assessment that this goes to show the signs of the times, that this current time we live in,
Hmm.
reviews have now become the point where they can make or break your business? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, huge. I mean, so I always say back in the day, you relied on a verbal recommendation, right? Or
Yes.
someone experienced the business. Hey, what did you think about that dentist, right? Did they do good by you or your child, right? It was all verbal. Now we have phones in our hands, right? We have such a way to get information so quickly, right? If I
Yeah.
want to experience something, I'm going to go online real quick and I'm going to look at the experience other people had to, and to help me make the best decision, right? So 85, based on research, 85 to 95% of people
Hmm.
look at reviews before they make a decision, right? I'm one of those
Exactly.
people. You're probably one of those people, right?
Yes.
So they've become the go-to recommendation for a business. So it's
Hmm.
important that we're putting everything we can behind the industry to make sure that when people are making those decisions, they're making it based on an actual experience,
Yep.
someone's actual experience, right? Not fake reviews that are coming from uh, Upwork or Fiverr.
Yeah.
Everywhere these review brokers go and buy reviews now. So yeah, I,
Yeah.
I absolutely agree.
Okay, so that's where then you then come in, right? Because
Yeah,
you know that there's a need from these businesses,
absolutely.
and then just case in point, my own reviews. I have my business up, my law firm, and so I have a lot of reviews online. They're
Hmm.
almost all, positive because
Yeah,
I work really hard to make my clients happy. Okay, in my
yeah,
office. And so people who call me, a lot of them tell me, hey, the reason I contacted you is because I saw your reviews about a particular kind of case you are working on, and then you made the client really happy. And that's why I want to trust you. And so it
yeah.
builds a rapport between me and
Hmm.
that potential client without me ever even meeting, that person. And so that's
Absolutely.
all thanks to the time I've taken to actually, help my existing clients leave
Absolutely.
feedback for the public, and none of them are fake, right? They're all
Yeah.
legit reviews from
Yeah.
folks who have actually used my services. And so we see then the importance of why businesses want that. And so,
Hmm.
and again, before we let you talk a bit more about the different types of businesses you've been in service, I have the tab open for a couple reputation websites, because we're talking about
Yeah.
reputation, like Reputation Defender by .com, by Norton. Another one is guaranteedremoval.com,
Yep.
removals.com. These are different websites that help you protect your reputation
Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
And again, it shows just how important it is to businesses to not have negative reviews,
Hmm.
staring back at them in the face, and that's going to present them in a bad light with the public. And so this is kind of what you're doing as well, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's different because you're actually a mediator who kind of gets
Yeah.
involved. So can you
Yeah.
then go into how you're different from like a regular reputation website business, and but you're going
Yeah.
after the same goal? Go ahead.
Yeah. So a lot of those guys, they go deeper into content removal, right? So
Yes.
articles that could have been written or, pictures, things like that that need to be taken down. Our focus is strictly online reviews and the
Mhm.
feedback a business receives, right? So we have two main services. One of them is negative review removal, right? So for that, we've built, I believe, the industry's first online dispute resolution portal, right? That would
Mhm.
allow businesses to come in, have set up, and we have human oversight for sure, but we have some
Yes.
AI that's built into the system that will dispute those reviews for them without them having to put in manual work. They just connect to the review platforms. It'll do it for them, right?
Mhm.
Well, the system will also do the escalating if we needed to go that far.
Yeah.
And then the other piece of the business is our mediation services.
Mhm.
So whether you have a customer who wrote an accurate review or, some type of review that you feel like, you know what, I just don't know how to handle this customer. I want to reach out to them. I want to talk about what happened and do my best to make it right. But I really don't know how to do that. Or I don't have the time. A lot of businesses just don't have the time, right?
Exactly.
You access our mediation services and we'll reach out to the consumer. We'll talk the issue over, we'll work the issue out. And if we're able to have a successful conversation, come to a successful agreement, we ask that customer if they're willing to update their review based on their new experience with us, right? A lot of them are like, you know what, you called me, although I'm upset, you reached out to check on me, you reached out to see how you can help. Sure, I'll update the review. And to be honest, there are few customers who say, no,
Mm.
my
Yeah.
experience was bad. But what I
Yeah.
will do is go to the review and say that you at least contacted me, right? So it lets your customers know who are coming to find you that, okay, that experience wasn't great, but they're on their business, right? They are taking care of their customers enough to call and find out what's going on and how they can make it right.
Yeah.
And
No,
that those are our two main services.
yeah, no, that's a good point that you
Yeah.
bring up about staying on top of it. Whereas where you might not be able to get the customer to remove the review.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you engage the customer,
Yeah.
okay, and maybe make an attempt to make things right by them, or if you feel it's grossly unfair and you are not able to do it, just the little step of going a
Yeah.
little further
Yep.
to show people that you're listening, because that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the art forms of mediation, right?
Yep.
It's people want to be heard, and
Yeah.
that's why they went out
Absolutely.
and ranted about your business in the first place, because
Absolutely.
Google or Amazon provided them an outlet.
Yeah.
And you notice people who are completely happy a lot of times don't bother putting a review. They
Exactly.
just
You
take
really
the
have to
good.
push them to do it. Yeah.
Exactly. But if they're upset,
Yeah.
then
You don't have to
they
worry
have.
about a thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to
So
campaign or anything to get them to write the negative review.
exactly, they're going to trash you online,
Yeah.
and sometimes for right reasons.
Yeah.
However, if it's gonna hurt your business,
Yeah.
hey, what do you gotta lose? But to potentially try to broker some
Yeah.
kind of negotiation,
Yeah.
resolution that might result in the thing being taken down, or at least let
Absolutely.
people know that you tried and that you are willing to learn from it and make your future customers happy. But
Absolutely.
tell us, what about feedbacks? I mean, it would be kind of interesting to know how people would review you because you're a review company, right? But what are feedbacks you get, like about this whole system you've set up?
I mean, I think everybody's been wild,
Yeah.
right? Especially because we're not coming at an angle of reputation management. We're going to, help you generate reviews and do this and do that. We just want to help you resolve your issues, right? That is our focus. A lot of, like I said, reputation management companies, they focus on how do we help you generate reviews? How do we help you reply to them and things like that? We help you mitigate and work with your customers to resolve issues.
Yeah.
And we've come from that angle. A lot of, we're having great conversation with other reputation management companies who we've been talking to who said, you know what? We aren't doing that, right? And we don't have that in the pipeline, but we do want to talk to you to work with us, right? To be able to offer that service to our clients as an additional thing, right?
Yeah.
So I've gotten a lot of great feedback. We've been having great conversations with Google, with Trustpilot, the review platforms,
Yeah.
because if you do a little research on it, a lot of industries have mediators, right? Some
Mm-hmm.
type of dispute resolution they have going on.
Yeah.
Online reviews have nothing,
Mm.
right? No type of mediator, no type of dispute resolution. Some of them try to build their own systems in, but
Yeah.
Trustpilot reported that they had over 900,000 disputes
Mm.
in a month, right? So
Yeah.
you can imagine what Google has, and they haven't even reported their numbers,
Exactly.
right? So clearly there's a need. Clearly there's something that needs to be put in place to address these disputes and to address them properly, right? Review platforms will tell you, it's one of the first things they tell you, we just provide the platform. We're not
Mm-hmm.
a mediator. We don't get involved with you and the customer. We just
Yeah.
provide the platform. That's it, right? And one of my main things now that regulation has been changing in multiple countries,
Mm-hmm.
the FTC just made a whole bunch of changes as it relates to online reviews in the US. Italy just rolled out that they're going to require users who have experienced the business to upload verification that
Mm.
you've experienced this business
Yeah.
before you can write that review, right? The
Got it.
EU is also making changes. So there's no better time than now to implement a system like this, to do fact checking and verification and mediation and things like that. So,
Got it. Got it.
yeah,
Well, thank you for letting me know what's going on in some of the other countries.
yeah,
And I would imagine that some of that might run into roadblocks in the US because of free speech,
there
people
you
being
go.
able to say what they
Yeah,
want online.
yeah,
But the only, I guess, protection we have against just unbridled free speech, of course, is defamation, right? And
yeah,
then saying something that's not true that ends up hurting another business that you know
yeah,
is not true. But I think I would guess that most businesses, if that happened to them, they don't have the energy, the money, the time to go and fight that kind of thing,
yeah, there you go.
unless it was particularly egregious. And then you got to get a lawyer. It's a whole lot
Yeah,
of effort.
yeah.
But if you can address it this way, potentially it would save you, I
A
imagine, years
lot.
of litigation, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We would love to be in the space where
Mm.
review platforms adopt this model from us to
Hmm.
then allow there to be some type of mediation, right? So that you can say, I know you had this issue with this customer. You've been through, right? We want to send you to a mediation so you guys can talk it out. You can see how you can come to some type of resolution, and then wherever it lands from there, right? But
Yeah.
you have to have something in place that's going to address the issues that's coming out. You can't just tell. I was speaking to Google and I said one of the things that made me think about the mediation services is when a customer writes a review and a business reaches out to dispute that review. One of the
Uh-huh.
first things review platforms tell the business is, oh, why don't you reach out to that customer?
Hmm.
Reach out to that customer. No avenue, no
Hmm.
additional support, no fact checking, none of that. Just reach out to that customer, right? Now, if you're going to say that, you need to be able to provide a system that allows that, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly where mediation comes in because
Got
not
it.
every business is able to do that, right? A lot of them don't have the skills, they don't have the time, they don't have the team, right? So you need
Hmm.
to be able to put something in place to help them do that.
Got it. Well, it makes a lot of sense, what you've put in place.
Yeah.
And it's kind of shocking that it didn't exist before,
Yeah.
but perhaps it's just the speed by which this has grown and caught us all off guard. But here we are,
Yeah.
2025. Everybody has reviews online. Everyone
Yeah.
posts that, everyone reads them, and people, trust them a whole lot to a degree. And people, I think people are getting smart where they kind of know when a review is kind of unfair,
Yeah.
right? Or a person who has a whole lot of really good reviews, but then they have like one bad one. Well, it might be from one person who was just spiteful that
Yeah.
day, who wants to take it off out on that
And I
business.
can
And some reviews. Go ahead.
I can tell you one thing that really is pushing this forward.
Yeah.
Businesses have never fought back more than they fought back now, more than they're fighting back now,
Hmm.
ever. Right? It's like they're all waking up to, whoa, wait a minute. Hold on. We've been taking this for quite some time. And it's
Yeah.
not to say that some of this stuff is inaccurate, but
Correct.
some of this stuff is just wildly insane, right? That's why they refer to online reviews as the wild, wild west, because especially in the US, people get on
Yep.
there and say whatever the hell they
Anything.
want, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's taken businesses now and more recently to wake up and start fighting back to say, no, there needs to be something in place. There needs to be a system in place. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Well, 21 minutes. All right. Courtney Ketchum, thank you so much for coming on the LMI podcast to talk about this conflict resolution in the world of business reviews and online
Yes.
reviews. And
Yes.
so this is a great idea, awesome, solution for a big pain point,
Yeah.
in the business world. And so you guys help restaurants, retail stores, fast food chains. And when I
Yeah.
say help, remember, mediators are neutral, where our goal is to help two sides reach an amicable, solution to their problem,
Absolutely.
and hopefully transform that relationship so
Yep.
that people can move forward in a positive manner. And so when I say, you help businesses, you're also helping the customer as well, in
Yep.
a way, right?
Absolutely.
Because you're getting them to get their need met. Sometimes it's
Yep.
just they need to be heard. Sometimes,
Yeah.
and sometimes it might be in a way where the business makes things right with the
Yep.
customer. Um,
Absolutely.
because when the business and the customer are just expected to just go talk to each other,
Yeah.
well, sometimes it blows up. It doesn't work because people have hurt feelings and they're
Yep.
angry,
Yeah.
and they can't communicate that way. They
Yeah.
need you to come in the middle. And so thank
Yeah.
you again for that work you're doing in this space.
No problem. No
Okay.
problem. Yeah.
Awesome.